The Trackmania Grand League World Cup will take place this weekend with the group stage, and then the 8 best players will qualify into the playoffs, and then from there we will have 4 players in the grand final. Returning to this channel is the defending world champion. He qualified through the open qualifier. In fact, I think it's the only guy I interview who actually qualified. So the only player I didn't curse there. So welcome back, Kappa. How is life? How is everything doing? And congratulations on making it into the Trackmania Grand League World Cup.
Thank you, Eric. Thanks for having me again. It's been just a little fragment of time since I was here for the last time, and I'm really happy to be here again because that means I was successful in my qualification journey. So life is good, and I can't wait for the World Cup.
If you take us quickly through that qualifier, how was it for you? Was it easier, harder than expected? How would you sum it up?
It was a bit easier, but not in the very last match. But I felt like a lot of players that I expected to attend didn't attend. Like people like Raysta, Grenady, these kinds of guys. I felt like this kind of players were just signing out for unknown reasons, at least unknown to me. So I felt like the only really quality demanding match for me was the last one, while I expected at least to be the last 2 matches somewhat difficult. But yeah, it was only the last one, and even then I performed quite well. I would say I had a really strong beginning of the match, and then I kept going and qualified quite comfortably. So I'm satisfied with the performance.
If you look at the other 7 players that made it through those 8 open slots, is there any takeaways? Who surprised you in a positive way? Someone who you maybe expected to qualify that didn't make it? What is your takeaway besides yourself from the open qualifier?
The only name I was really not really surprised because he is a good player, but I know he had a difficult last match in the qualifier was Dofold. I think he played against Solja and Razi, and or maybe I'm wrong. But I think he had a difficult match, and I didn't favor him that much. But he in fact won his match, so I probably was wrong in my assumptions. So he's probably the guy who surprised me the most.
This is Thursday. I did some interviews yesterday. On Wednesday, I talked to Pack, for example, and he said that maybe it was a benefit for the players that come in now from the open qualifiers because you have sort of gotten into the zone. You have played cup mode again. You have felt the format. Would you say that you now have a benefit over the other 8 players that made it through Trackmania Grand League? And if so, how big is that advantage, if any?
Well, we actually spoke about it before the qualification in the interview that, yeah, sure, playing the qualifier is a challenge in itself, but if you can survive it in a good fashion, then you can actually use it for your benefit. And that's what I was speaking about because the pre-qualified guys probably felt a bit too cozy, they felt like they knew all the maps, so they didn't have to put in that much time, or probably started a bit later than they should have, some of them, while I obviously had to start very early and realize that there is a lot to be improved on basically all the maps, and also the maps are a bit different now with some of the game physics changes. So there's still a lot to be learned, and I think for myself, now that I'm qualified, now that I survived the qualification, I think it's only a benefit. How big it is, I don't know. I think it's still different if you play, let's say, the French Carl or the Canadian Carl. So you have to play a bit differently. But as for my own knowledge of my own abilities in terms of consistency, I know what I can expect for myself. So that's a good base for confidence, and then I can only build up on that in terms of getting faster, uh, whatever the particular match demands for me.
Yeah, tell us, how do you feel now talking about your own confidence? Do you feel confident that you are a real strong contender for a win, a podium spot? I put you at my tier list as a make or break because I said I basically am not surprised if someone says that Kappa is going to win it, but I also said I'm not going to be surprised if you say Kappa is not going to make it. So what is your confidence there? Let's say, are you as confident as you was in 2018? Because once I talked to you there, you were a confident guy going into that World Championship.
Well, in TMWC 2018, I lost to Agir in the qualification. I almost didn't make it to the event. Then I didn't have too big of an ambitions, and I feel like it's kind of similar right now. I think there are some similarities. Like I got to kind of a bottom in terms of my form and previous results. Like in 2018, I had Giant Cup where I totally got destroyed by players I thought I would have never got beaten by, and then I lost to Egir in the qualification. There was also like the kind of bottom, but they say the night is the darkest before the dawn, never how is it said. So I think uh to be honest with you, right now I'm feeling the most confident in the new Trackmania that I've ever felt since the game release. How good that is, I don't know. We will have to see, but I spent quite reasonable amount of time on the maps. I also will play some practice matches. I have some okay times, let's put it that way, and uh, I think I'll be a good contender. I'm not gonna tell you I'm gonna attack the title because that would be very arrogant for me to say something like that after my previous results. But let's focus on getting to the playoffs first, and let's see then.
Hmm. Yeah, talking about the playoffs, then it's only going to be 8 players, and then I believe it's going to be a single elimination bracket in that top 8. But before that, it's going to be a group stage. It's going to be multiple different matches. Looking at your matches, how would you say, are you one of the lucky guys? Do you think that you have maybe the harder matches? Have you looked at who you're going to face in the first 4 matches that are known at least?
I didn't really compare them too much. I actually don't even know who I play against, except for the first match, where I obviously play Carl Jr., so that's gonna start very spicy from the very first match. Uh, that would be a great match to win, obviously, but if I get 2 points from that one, I'll be just happy enough. And then I don't know. I think everyone has kind of the same level of matches because with the system, it feels like everyone will play everyone, at like once maybe. So I don't think there's any player who has it a bit easier. Maybe there is, but I probably didn't study it enough to answer.
Hmm. But you're talking about practice matches. I believe you only had one so far. But if you look at the other players who you can expect to maybe reach a playoff, to maybe reach a grand final, who is the names on your list that will challenge it? Of course, you mentioned already Carl Jr., but who else?
Uh, Besides Carl, obviously Pack, I know that's a boring answer. You hear from everyone, but that's the way it is. Then there's Mada, who I believe is extremely motivated, extremely prepared. We will have to see if he's going to be fast enough in this system because obviously he's a very consistent player on these 6 lappers and even 2 lappers. He can really shine through. So we will see on this TMGL map style if he can be also extremely fast because that's what you unfortunately need to challenge Carl. So, but I can see him going to the grand final. Then you have the quote unquote wild card in terms of Scrappy. Also Massa, if he shows up, he just doesn't ask anyone. But on the other hand, I wouldn't be surprised to him getting 15th as well. So it's like you can't predict these 2 guys too much. 2 Dennises actually. Maybe there's something about it, and I hope I can be a good contender for the grand final as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, like the first step is getting to the playoffs, and from then I can set new goals. But I'm now focusing only on the playoffs.
Hmm. Thanks so much for the interview and best of luck in this upcoming weekend. Is there anything else you want to say to the people that is following you? What we can expect from you? Is there any words you want to tell the community before we finally kick the World Cup off again in Trackmania?
Uh, don't count me out yet.
That's some wise words to end it on. Thanks so much, Kappa, and good luck in this upcoming weekend. You can follow him on twitch.tv/Trackmania this weekend, and hopefully also July 4th when the 8 best player will battle it out for the title. That's it for today. Bye bye.
Bye.